Good afternoon, my beautiful babes and babettes. I'm your resident active advocate, and I'm here to talk to you today about one of the two biggest issues I see with Twilight, okay? This is going to be a rather long video. Question, have I been stalling? Answer, yes and no. I missed yesterday because in the morning I didn't want to do this video, okay? But in the afternoon, my father came home early, so I spent a pleasant afternoon with him rather than engaging in this, because that is a, preferable option. But, okay, today's video, just to get down to business, is going to be about Bella and self-esteem. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what I actually classified in my notes as the Edward issues. Today, however, we're going to talk about the Bella issue, okay? This is the primary issue I see with this entire narrative, pretty much, since it's told from Bella's point of view. Are there external problems in this book? Absolutely. This book is rife with misogyny, with ableism, with racism. The racism's going to get worse as the series goes on, and I'm going to be cringing harder and harder each time. However, in book number 1, in Twilight itself, I see as the kingpin issue Bella's total lack of self-esteem. Okay? Firstly, I want to point out Bella is not a character. Okay? I need you to digest this. This is important. Bella is not a character. Bella is a blank slate, but also at the same time a self-insert. Why is she both of these things? Well, Stephenie Meyer wanted the intended audience, and we'll get to that. She wanted the intended audience to project themselves onto this character in quotation marks. So she gave Bella as little characterization as humanly possible. The intended audience for this book, unfortunately, is young, preteen or teen, white, heteronormative girls, okay? The reason why I say that that's unfortunate is because this book is a romance, but I cannot, in good conscience, call these books romance, okay? They are not even remotely similar to even a semblance of a healthy romance. If you are, in the real world, like Bella, and you are lacking in self-esteem, and especially when you're young, like 12 to 16 or 13 to 16 kind of thing, please don't get into a relationship until you have developed self-respect, okay? That's definitely just one warning I want to put out there. I'm going to be putting content warnings throughout these videos, but I don't want to age restrict any of them. It's very important that younger audiences get to know this information and why it's important. All right. So the very first one that I'm starting with, as I say, is the kingpin of all of these issues, and the reason why most of them exist in the book, which is Bella's total lack of self-esteem. As I say, she's not a character. She's a blank slate self-insert. But as far as Bella is characterized, everything about her revolves around one thing. At least once that one thing is introduced, which is very early in the book. Bella's entire personality, Bella's every waking moment, and even in her dreams, revolves around Edward Cullen. Edward has his own issues, and oh my various gods, are we going to get there? But that's going to be later on. The problem I have with this non-romance, okay, I'm not even going to call it a romance. The problem I have with this non-romance is that it is not only codependent, but Bella is not a character without this romance. Bella has no personality at all without this romance. Okay? I should be putting this in quotation marks every time I say it. Before you meet Edward, you see that Bella is a rather self-sacrificing person, and I don't have a problem with that, okay? That's fine. If you want to be self-sacrificial, that's fine. Do not do it to the detriment of your own health, of your own well-being, especially of, well, I shouldn't say especially in either regard, but your physical and mental health. Do not self-sacrifice to the point where you are putting yourself in harm's way, because that's not good for you, and it's also not good for the person for whom you're making the sacrifice. If a person loves you, they will not allow you to sacrifice to such an extent. What Bella ends up doing at the beginning of the book is that she moves to the town where her father, Charlie, lives, Forks, Washington. This is a real town, by the way. But she moves away from living with her mother because her mom wants to go on the road with her new husband, and Bella feels like she'd be getting in the way if she were to stick around. There's no real evidence or explanation as to why she believes this to be the case, unless she's thinking, okay, well, maybe they would want to have relations, shall we say, and I'd be getting in the way of that. So Bella, it's sort of a weaker prompt, but she moves to Forks, Washington to live with her father. And she's not fond of this place at all. It's constantly gray and cloudy and rainy in Forks and cold compared to Phoenix, Arizona, which is where she had been living with her mother. She does not like Forks, okay? She is only there for the sake of her mother. She is not there for herself in any regard at all. So Bella goes to high school, and she pretty much immediately meets a lot of very nice people. I want to make a case for the other boys in this book, especially. Anyone you could have dated would have been better than Edward. Literally anyone, okay? I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Edward is a vampire, okay? He is dangerous, and especially to Bella, because her particular scent of blood just makes him, want to drink her blood. He is literally bloodthirsty for her, but for her specifically. It's just a very intoxicating smell for him. So, literally anyone she could have dated would have been safer than Edward, would also have been better for her than Edward. But here's where the problem with the self-esteem really comes in two different regards. Number one, when Bella does meet these nice human males, so you get people like Mike and Eric and Tyler, they're fine, But no matter who she encounters, unless it's a Cullen, she has to make some kind of negative remark about them. Every single time she encounters anyone else in this book, there's something negative said. For example, Mike Newton, the guy who has probably the biggest crush on her out of the three I just ticked off. She says he's basically the human embodiment of a golden retriever. I love dogs. I especially love Goldens. They're very pretty. This is an insult because Goldens are very, well, they'll go out of their way to please you. They just almost literally roll over to do whatever makes you happy, okay? Bella does not like attention from other people, and when she gets it, she questions why she's getting it, but she also feels the need to throw an insult in the way of the person who is giving her that attention. Jessica is another one. She's, on my scale, morally, she's fine, whatever. Just a normal teenage girl. But, Bella does not have anything nice to say about Jessica, who strikes her as a very jealous, petty, selfish person, even though Bella makes friends with her. Another case, Angela. This is observably a good person, okay? But one thing that really bothered me, and I'm just going to be kind of giving you the highlights of everything that bothered me in regards to Bella's self-image, self-esteem. One thing that really bothered me with Angela is that Angela is not the kind of person to hover, to get intrusive, and especially in regards to Bella's relationship with Edward, Angela is not the one being like, "What happened? What happened? Give me every detail," like a normal teenage girl would. But that's just not in Angela's nature. And Bella says, "I really like Angela because she's not trying to pry into this thing that I really want to happen, but also want to keep very, very private." See, there's a contradiction here because Forks, Washington, as portrayed in the book, I don't know if this is true of real life, but it's a very small town. Everyone knows everyone knows everyone else's business. People are going to notice when you're going out with the richest guy in town, okay? Sweetie, I'm sorry, they are. And she's very proud of the fact that she has put out the hook, line, and sinker for Edward, but she is also very put off by other people trying to dissect why she would get into a relationship with him. She does not want to have anything to do with anyone other than Edward. I have a really, 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 really big problem with this because one of the aspects of an abusive relationship, content warning, okay, is that the abuser will often try to cut you off from your family and from your social network. Edward does not actively do this. Bella does this to herself. She doesn't want to have, as I say, anything to do with anyone except for him after she has gotten into a relationship with him or what she perceives as a relationship with him. He keeps telling her, "I'm dangerous. I am not good for you. If you were smart, you would stay away from me." But she doesn't listen. He flat out tells her, "I have killed people." She doesn't care. He flat out tells her, "By the way, I am over 100 years old." She doesn't care. Why? Because he looks 17? I have problems with this, okay? I have big problems with this. He is 108 or 109 as far as I recall. She's 17, okay? Not only is that actually illegal, but it's extraordinarily immoral, okay? Like, I actually put morality over law in my own life, but just in terms of this book too. He is being extraordinarily immoral, and she's allowing it because she doesn't see herself as worth being kept alive without him. And that to me is just, it screams of low self-esteem. It screams of no self-esteem, actually. I am not a person. I am not an identity. I have no value whatsoever without you, is what this says to me. This is a classic example of an abusive relationship because she puts herself in that position so much lower than him and just puts him on a pedestal and elevates him and treats him like a god. And almost every single time she gives a descriptor of this man, I'm not going to say boy, he's not 17, he's over 100 years old. Every time she gives a descriptor of him, it's always about how perfect he is. She needs a new adjective for one thing, but perfect and flawless and handsome and rich and well-dressed and, drives this great car and has superpowers. And the problem I have with the contrast here is that she says flat out in her own internal monologue, like, why would he be interested in me? It's great that he is, and I'm gonna cling to him for dear life because I feel like I have no other option because my self-esteem is so low, even though he's dangerous, even though he's a murderer, even though he really wants to drink my blood and kill me. I'm still going to go forward with this because I see no other way forward. Even though there are all these other guys I could just as easily date, just as easily get along with, and not be in mortal danger literally every moment I'm with them. Edward keeps saying to her, I'm dangerous. But the problem I have with that too is that he doesn't back off either. He does not let her go. And I have a problem with clingy people. Okay, I do. That is also another aspect of an abusive relationship. Okay, again, content warning. Codependency is that the one will cling to the other because they see no inherent value in themselves as individual units. Please, if you have read this book and if you are a younger person, especially a younger cisgender heteronormative female, I encourage you, do not take this as an accurate representation of real love, of real romance. These two people are not in love. These people are in lust, shall we say. Not only are they in lust, but they see themselves as desperately lacking without the other. If you're going to be in a relationship, I encourage you, please, to love yourself first and foremost. You can definitely feel for the other person. You can help the other person to fulfill their wants and their needs, but you have to keep in mind that yours should be at the forefront of your mind. You are not responsible, and I want to make this very clear. You are not responsible for another person's happiness. You can help them to facilitate that happiness. Absolutely. And it's wonderful when you do, because that's the whole point of human relationship at all, be it platonic or romantic. But you are not responsible for the mental state that that person is in. This also applies to you if you are caring for someone with any form of mental illness. This also applies to you if you have any form of mental illness. You are not responsible for external circumstances, for one thing. But when it comes to another person, you cannot and should not attempt to dictate their mood, and you should not expect that their mood is going to change based on your actions. Nor should you expect that yours should or will or can change based on the actions of another person. We need to be independent and interdependent, but not dependent when we get into these interpersonal relationships. Again, be it platonic or romantic. What Bella and Edward both sorely lack is the self-esteem to say, yes, I am okay on my own. I will literally and figuratively survive without this other person. At the end of the book, Bella is put in extreme physical danger by another vampire. They're a hunter, and they come into Forks and find the Cullen family and find Bella with them. And the hunter in question is very curious as to how this could be a functional relationship at all, because he sees Bella as a human as inferior to his kind, to his species or his subspecies, shall we say. And he attempts to kill Bella for his own amusement and also to hurt Edward. He gets it all on tape, and oh my gosh, it's nasty. But the one and only concern that Bella has is making sure that Edward does not go after the hunter in order to avenge her if she does indeed die. And it's not even a case of being afraid or, concerned for her own survival. It's all about Edward. When James, the hunter, is getting all of this on tape, she's screaming into the camera, no, Edward, don't go after him. Don't take the bait, don't get yourself in danger on my account. This, to me, just screams, holy crap, red flag. Here's the thing, a saying that I heard upon getting out of a former relationship I was in, with a somewhat similar dynamic, but not to this extent, okay? It was not nearly that abusive, holy crap. But the saying is, when you are wearing rose-colored glasses, all of the red flags just look like flags. When you are wearing rose-colored glasses, all of the red flags just look like flags. okay? Gotta repeat that because it's very important. For those of you in my audience who do not have a concept of color, because there are blind people who watch this, rose and red are two similar shades of the same color. So with rose-colored glasses on, you can't tell that a red flag is red because you're looking through another shade of red. This relationship is rife with red flags. Oh my God. From day one. From day one. And she's just obsessed with him. That in and of itself is a red flag. The red flag there is saying she's not ready to be in a relationship. She's not ready. Even if it were Mike Newton or Tyler Crowley or Eric, I don't know his last name, you know, one of the other guys who's obsessed with her because she's the shiny new toy who just came in from Arizona and no one else here knows her. Even if it were one of them, I would still advise against her getting into a relationship with them, even though they are much more safe, much more, you know, accountable for their own actions, because Edward gets away with everything. I would still say to Bella, don't get into a relationship with them either. The hallmark of a happy life, by the way, I just want to make this clear too. The hallmark of a happy life is not romantic fulfillment, or it doesn't have to be, okay? It can be, but that should be a choice based on what you want and based on what the other person wants. But you don't intrinsically have to have romantic feelings or romantic goings on in your life in order to be happy, okay? I've only ever been in one relationship in my life, and it wasn't the best, and I'm a lot happier away from it than I was in it. I didn't know that at the time, but now that I'm out, it's great, and I love it. And I am not, you know, it's not that I would never pursue another romantic relationship, because I definitely could. You know, I'm open to it, but I'm also okay with not being in a romantic relationship right now, or at any point. I don't know whether it's going to happen again. We'll see. Whatever. It'll happen when or if it happens. I don't really care right now, okay? And that's not just the COVID talking. That's not just the isolation talking. I literally don't care right now because I'm okay on my own. That is what self-esteem will get you, okay? Please, if you're a young girl especially, don't cling to the idea of I can only be happy if I'm romantically involved. That's not the only way. You know, there's more than one way to pet a cat. I don't like the other saying, the real version of that saying. There's more than one way to pet a cat, and that's just one way. You know, think of who you are, you know, independent of other people. And what other people, what other kinds of relationships do you have in your life? And are those to you valuable? Are those to you ones that you want to preserve and nurture? Because if they are, amazing. Because happiness with other people is amazing. But it doesn't have to be romantically, okay? Friendship, just as valid. Parent and child, just as valid. You know, you and a child, just as valid. You and a sibling, just as valid. All of these. You don't need to be romantically involved, no matter what way you swing, no matter what gender or sexual expression you are. You don't need a romantic partner in order to be happy. Society says you do. Don't listen. It's only one channel down which you can put your affections. There are so many different channels. Not just people, but hobbies too. But personally, I think that people are the best channels, plural. You know, but we need to find fulfillment through more than one channel. If we are putting the entirety of ourself into just one channel, everything else is going to get gummed up and it's going to stop existing after a while. Just like Bella's social circle stops existing after a while, because it's not that her friends have stopped caring about her, it's that she's completely stopped caring about them. Because now she's got Edward, and he's great, and he's dangerous, and he's hostile, and isn't that hot? No, it's not. This book was almost physically painful to read, okay? So, again, I will say this again, and I'm going to say this now for the last time. If your self-esteem is this low, please don't get into a relationship. And I'm not saying that as a ha-ha, you have no self-esteem kind of thing. I'm saying that as a, just work on yourself, okay? Like, and if you're not ready for a romantic relationship, don't pursue one, because you'll get yourself into much more harm than good. I did it myself. I suffered the consequences, and thankfully it was nothing too bad. You know, and I learned from it. It was fine. I was able to learn from it. But if you get into definitely the wrong kind of relationship, you might not be able to learn from it, because, like with Edward and Bella, you might become prisoners to one another. And given that Edward has the vast majority, I'm talking 99.9% of the power in this dynamic, he's the one imprisoning her. But the thing is, she's perfectly willing to be his prisoner. You can read into that however you want. That's how 50 Shades of Grey came around. No, I am not reading those. Thank you. We are not talking about those. Okay, so that's the number one issue, and I think, as I said, the kingpin of all of the issues in Twilight. But tomorrow, I would like to talk about what I labeled the Edward issues. Really, when I was making notes about this book, that's what I labeled that section. There are so many problems with this man. Oh my god. So we're going to talk about them, and it's going to be fun for the whole family. This is 100% pure Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude. Very long German word. If you haven't looked it up before now, and if you don't know what it means, look it up, because it's highly applicable to what we are doing here. So yes, tomorrow, Edward issues. This video is going to take forever to upload. That's going to be fun. All right, have a good afternoon. And I will now also begin reading New Moon, because I know that the racism gets ramped up in that one, and oh my god. Yeah, as I said, the further I go in this series, the more I'm going to be cringing about racism. That's kind of a hot button issue for me, and I really don't want to do this, but I suffer for my art. Y'all better be grateful. This has been your resident active advocate, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Mwah. Love ya. Bye.